Welcome to the Big and Tall Show, a podcast that is designed to help you in your faith and encourage you to stand big and tall as a Christian. In this sinful world, the Christian life can be difficult, but Mark, who is big, and Tom, who is tall, are here to help you navigate your Christian journey. And now, get ready to experience the wit and wisdom of Tom and Mark as you listen to the Big and Tall podcast.
Welcome to the Big and Tall podcast. We are thankful that you are here this week, and you can tell your friends that we can be found on Facebook, also on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is the Big and Tall Show with Mark and Tom. And also you can email us, bigandtallshowpodcast@gmail.com. We appreciate Jay for our introduction, and we hope everybody's having a good week, and we welcome in Tom. Tom, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, Mark. I'm glad to hear your voice again, and so glad to always talk to you, and I'm just so appreciative of everyone who continues to take a brief moment during their week, a few moments to listen to our podcast, to support us, and to hopefully be encouraged in such a way that maybe their faith is growing. And I tell you what, Mark, I've received in the last week or so, some really encouraging conversations, text messages, just notes of appreciation for what we're doing. And man, I think we said it week one, if we can help just one person grow in their faith and one person feel stronger as they're going through the ups and downs of life, because of our podcast, then we've hit a home run. You know, we're doing something well.
That's right, and that's what it's all about. We want to be here to weekly to encourage everyone that's listening and everyone that may have an interest in religious things, and we hope to interject some humor and some, as Jay says, some wit and wisdom, but I don't know how much of that we're getting, but hopefully we can help encourage and give some thoughts weekly that will help all of us, as our podcast is, help all of us to be big and tall in our faith, and that's what we're trying to do. And today, Tom, I want to talk about a subject, a topic that once again I think all of us deal with. I think all of us would say, I have a problem with that, and that is the idea of procrastination. Procrastination. Let me ask you, Tom, do you ever put things off that you've got to do, and you sort of move those to the bottom of the list? Do you ever do that?
No, Mark, I'm perfect in every way, and I do not struggle at all. No, of course I do. It is something that we all undoubtedly at some point in our lives do definitely struggle with, and it's very similar to the topics we've spoken about the last few weeks. It's probably human nature. Like you said, there are things that we really enjoy doing, and there's some things we don't like doing. So what are we going to do? We're just going to pass on them and push them down the line, and maybe we'll get to them at a later time.
Yeah, that's right. And on some things, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we say, hey, we'll get to it later. I can do this whenever. But there are some things that are pretty important that we push down the road, and we say, well, when I have more time, or if when the summer comes, and then in the summer we say when it's winter time, I'll and I'm inside a lot, I can get this done. And we just keep kicking the can down the road, and we never sort of knuckle down and get some of those important things taken care of. And procrastination starts at a young age. I know kids struggle with putting things off. You think about cleaning your room and doing chores around the house, and they put it off because they don't want to do it. But as we get, mature, as we become adults, we still put things off that we don't necessarily want to do. And that's sort of what I want us to talk about a little bit. Why do you think, or what are some reasons that comes to your mind that we procrastinate? What would you say a couple of reasons would be that we just put things off? What's your thoughts on that?
Mark, Paige and I actually were talking about this today, and it depends on the situation. I know that it depends on what event or what item or what activity we are procrastinating, but it could honestly be almost a fear or an anxiety of I don't want to start it because whether it's going to be painful, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be something I just completely do not enjoy. And one thing that Paige and I both were talking about is, once you just do it, once you just start and you actually just you go do it, then almost every time, not always, but most of the time, you realize it wasn't that bad. It's not near as bad as I thought, and that, I think that's, in my opinion, that's the case with most things. But so to answer your question, is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it uncomfortableness? But it's something that we feel uneasy about doing, and so what do? We just wait and we put it off,
and we dread it, right? I mean,
yes, absolutely.
And I don't know why we do this, but something that we don't want to do, like you said, we're either fearful or we're nervous about it, or it's going to be painful, it's going to be tough, and so we just put it on, the back burner. We'll say we'll do it, next week, next month, or whatever. But then it's in the back of our minds, and it's always there, and it's constantly, sort of bugging us. And so what we need to do, in my opinion, is we need to just get things done. I came across a book, and it's a audio series from Dr. Kevin Elko, and I don't know if I've mentioned his name or not in our podcast, but I refer to him a lot. I love Dr. Kevin Elko, everything that he does. He was the only person that Nick Saban would let talk to his football team. Yeah. And so that tells you something. But he came out with a series some time ago, several years ago, and it's basically about procrastination, but the book and the audio stuff is called Get Stuff Done. Get Stuff Done. And I listened to some of that, and I loved, what he's trying to say is just, in life, the small stuff, the big stuff, whatever it may be, we just need to get it done. We just need to do it and stop worrying about it, stop putting it off. And we need to get things done in our lives. And that's easier said than done, but it's something that I think all of us would be better if we would work toward that.
I echo everything you just said about do it. Nike's made how many millions and billions of dollars with their slogan of just do it. But, Mark, I've heard Kevin Elko speak, and I think he's phenomenal. I've been at a conference that he was at which he was speaking, and you're spot on. Man, that he's amazing. Very similar sentiment. The Navy SEALs, which have become more in the spotlight probably since they killed Osama bin Laden, but they have a phrase that I've always loved, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying about you just got to get it done. Is their phrase is the only easy day was yesterday, meaning, you're going to have things you got to do, and some of them are going to be tough, and some days are going to be extremely difficult. but you can't put it off. You just have to do it. And the easy day, that was yesterday. And today, it's going to be hard, but that doesn't mean we don't do it.
Right.
You just got to get after it. You got to get after it.
I read a study some time ago that this guy was going to study, through the Bible and find the most significant words. And so he wanted to find what's the saddest word, what's the happiest word, what's the most emotional word in the Bible. And he went through this study. And when he came to the most dangerous word, he found, in his opinion, I guess, but the most dangerous word in the Bible was the word tomorrow. And that can be the most dangerous word in our lives, because, the word tomorrow and the idea of tomorrow, as the song says, it may never come, right? And also, not only does Garth Brooks sing about that, but James, the brother of Jesus, writes about that. Let me read a passage from James chapter 4. He says, "Come now, you who say today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city, spend a time there, or spend a year there, buy and sell, make a profit. Whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away." We have no idea what's going to take place tomorrow or the next day or the next day. And so we need to understand how precious our time is, what a gift it is from God. And we need to stop putting things off and get things done today. Ephesians 5 and verse 16, Paul says, "Redeeming the time because the days are evil." And so procrastination kills the gift of time. It just totally kills it. And it's almost as if we're not being grateful, we're not being thankful for the time that God has given us, because we're putting things off that we know that we need to do.
Yep. And what I'm hearing as you're saying that, or what's going through my head as you're saying all that, is we need to prioritize, because it's not like we're not doing anything, but we're not doing the things that are needful. We're not doing the things that are important, and that's what you're explaining there is there you have a certain amount of days here on this earth, and we can be wasteful and disrespectful to God in the things that we're doing in the way that we're wasting our time, or we can do the things that are important, and we can be doers and be out there and serving others the way that Christ did, and in doing so, glorifying God with the lives He's given us and the time that He's giving us, and not being wasteful and procrastinating.
Let me give a list, Tom, of a few items, and everybody that's listening, I would imagine that we've all said this, at least in our minds, at some point. And here's the list, and we could go on with this list, but I'm going to give you 5 or 6 things. When I get around to it, I'll start reading my Bible. When I get around to it, I'll work on my prayer life. When I get around to it, when I find time, I'm going to go visit that person that is sick, or that person that is in the hospital. When I get around to it, I'm going to send a card of encouragement to someone. When I get around to it, I'm going to start making the church services. I'm going to come to the assembly every single time. Of course, when I get around to it. When I get around to it, I'm going to be involved in more church activities. On and on and on we can go. And I would imagine that any of us have said either one or many of these that I just listed. But how many of us, Tom, are going to come to the end of our life, whenever that may be? And as we read, we're not promised tomorrow, so we don't know. But how many of us are going to come to the end of our lives and have regrets of things that we should have done, that we wanted to do, and we put it off, and we never got around to doing it? I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be, facing death and looking back over my life and saying, well, I wish I would have, I wish I would have opened God's Word and studied it and meditated upon it. I wish I would have had a better prayer life. I wish I would have been a better servant for the Lord. Now can we always do more? Yes, but I don't want to be the person that is facing death and looks back with regrets over the things that I didn't do just because, as you said, I did not prioritize my time correctly.
I'm not smart enough to remember who said it. It may have been Benjamin Franklin, but I don't know. But it was somebody who basically said, at the end of your life, you're not going to be regretful of the things that you did. You're going to be regretful of the things you didn't do. Maybe right. Mark Twain. I don't know who it was, but I agree.
Maybe it was Tom Runyon, right?
I just said it. It's documented for all time. But
that's right.
But you're right. I mean, we're going to look back someday and think of the things that we could have done and should have done, especially as it pertains to the work of the Lord. And we're going to have some regrets. And Mark, in Acts chapter 24. If you ask someone who has Bible knowledge about an example of procrastination, more times than not, they're going to go to Acts chapter 24. And for those of you that are maybe not familiar with this passage and what's going on here, but Paul has been given an opportunity to speak, and this is in front of those in authority in civil government. And I'm going to paraphrase things because I know we're running short on time, but basically, after he had instructed things and talked to him, in verse 22, this is Felix. But when Felix heard these things, having more accurate knowledge of the way, meaning of those who were followers of Christ, he adjourned the proceedings and said, when Lysias the commander comes down, I will make a decision on your case. And so he's basically talking about Paul and what's going on there. But verse 25, as he reasoned about righteousness, self-control, and the judgment to come, Felix was afraid and answered, go away for now. When I have a conventional time, I will call for you. And as we have recorded, we don't know if he ever responded to the gospel, to the message of the gospel. We have no clue. And that example right there is spot on with so many people in this world right now who have maybe heard the gospel and maybe even believed it, but because of procrastination, because of maybe what we talked about earlier, fear or an anxiety of, I don't want to respond to the gospel because maybe somebody in my family will think differently of me, or they'll think I'm being a hypocrite, or no. This is maybe the prime example of a time where, hey, don't procrastinate. Don't put it off. You need to obey the gospel. There's not a soul on earth that doesn't need to be forgiven of their sins, and the only way for that is through Jesus, through his blood, through obeying the gospel, being buried for the remission of our sins in the watery graves of baptism. And for those that have not done that yet, we're procrastinating, or they are. And I just encourage anyone listening, if that is you and you are procrastinating, you've thought about this, and reach out to us, reach out to the elders, the preacher at your congregation, or reach out to us if you haven't been going to any worship services anywhere and you would just like to talk. This is why we're here, is to help those who are procrastinating. Let's make this most important, best decision of your entire life. Let's do that without putting it any further off.
I don't. And some people say I was looking for a sign. Well, the Lord doesn't work that way anymore. But having said that, I'm also going to say this. This is your sign.
Yeah, here we are. Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. This is your sign. Like you said, stop putting off, especially things of eternal matters, religious matters of faith, matters of salvation. Stop putting those things off, and just do it. You know what you got to do. You know what you must do. Why do you delay? Why do you put it off? Deuteronomy 2 and verse 3 is a verse I want to share, and then we'll close our thoughts, Tom. The Bible says, "You have circled this mountain long enough, now turn north." I love that idea. Sometimes we need to say, I have circled this problem. I have circled this mountain long enough. Now it's time for me to go and to conquer my fear, to conquer this mountain, whatever it may be that I've been putting off. And so I encourage everybody to do that. Tom, as we wrap up the show today, give us something as we've discussed this idea of procrastination. Give us something that we can do to stand big and tall in our faith this week.
Well, Mark, I want to encourage it, and maybe not just an encouragement, but a challenge. And maybe that's something we need to do every week, Mark, is just start taking this and challenging people and then giving them a clear objective that they can meet. But I want to challenge anyone who's listening. Find something that you know deep down you've been putting off, that you know for a fact is important in your life, and just have the approach of, it's not going to be as bad as I thought it was, or as I think it is, and I'm just going to do it. I'm challenging you. Just do it. Do the right thing that you've been dwelling on and you've been thinking about, and like you said, you've been circling, and just do it. Just be brave enough, be strong enough, courageous enough, and do it. Mark, how about your thoughts?
I think that's it exactly. Maybe you've been thinking about serving someone. Do it today. Maybe you've been thinking about calling someone, maybe to encourage them, maybe to ask for forgiveness, maybe to fix the relationship. Do it today. Maybe you've been thinking about, your salvation, and you've been away from the church, and you say, I know what I need to do, but it's a hard thing to go back and to repent and to say that I've messed up. But I encourage you, do that today before it is too late, because you don't want to get to the end of your life and say, I wish I would have done these things. Tom, we appreciate everybody for listening today, and please like, share, and pray for the podcast. And as always, make sure you're standing big and tall in your faith.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and thank you again for listening.
If you have enjoyed today's episode of The Big and Tall Show, please tell your friends and make it easy by sharing the link to our show with them. If you haven't subscribed, this is the time to do just that. And on behalf of Tom and Mark, thank you for listening.